Hi everyone, my name is Felipe. I'm a grad student at the MEE department here at Mines. So coming from a mining engineering background, I've always been just interested in how the markets move, how commodities move, because it just influences so much in mining companies, this being their market cap overall, and as well just individual projects. So I kind of wanted to combine that with this project, and my research question for this case is how can macroeconomic indicators forecast copper prices? As some of you might know, copper is known as Dr. Copper, this being a good measure of the global economy, since it's pretty much used for everything. It's essential for construction, manufacturing, electrification, so its price tends to move with economic cycles due to its high demand for these pretty much sectors. I think being able to forecast copper prices in the short term is quite useful. Maybe not so much for mining companies, since they plan more for the long term, but for trading and traders, I think is quite useful, so they can protect, as well as just commercial side of the mining companies, so they can protect better their product. So I think it'll be interesting to quantify this relationship and see how it works. So my hypothesis is quite simple, super straightforward, is that macroeconomic activity helps predict copper prices. When industrial production increases, it signals a stronger demand for metals. As well, when oil prices rise, energy and production costs often rise too, both of which can push just copper prices upward. What I want to test is whether including these macro variables actually help us forecast prices more accurately compared to just uh, relying on its own copper past behavior. So to do this, I'm using an Arimax model, pretty much an ARIMA model with two exogenous variables, this being the global industry production index and as well the oil price. I'm looking for a time period of 2000 to 2025, and obviously my dependent variable will be the copper price. This will be on a monthly basis as well, and for data, I plan to use WTI or Brent from the EIA, and for the global national production index, this will come from the World Bank or just Fed. So what I'm expecting is pretty much the Remax model to generate more accurate forecast of copper prices than the basic ARIMA model. Um, I'm expecting the coefficients of industrial production or prices to be positively and statistically significant, so they will confirm that macroeconomic indicators have real predictive power, not just simple correlation. The main takeaway here is, everybody knows that copper moves with its economy, but what I into this project is pretty much just to quantify how strong that relationship is and show that it can actually be used for real forecasting, or well, that's the idea with it. I think it's quite valuable and quite interesting for traders, especially, to see or anticipate copper price movements, and as well for analysts that could be building market models. For mining companies, it's more complicated than that, since they tend to like see the copper prices in a longer perspective, in a longer time period than traders. But on their commercial side, at least, knowing the short run kind of copper prices could help them, hedge their price or just protect their trade. And I think it will be quite interesting to see that. Yeah. Um, yeah. Thank you for listening. I think this is just one example of how combining economics and that analysis can help us better understand, forecasting commodities, especially a big one in our current stage, of the economy, this being copper. Thank you.